You need a great opener, like somehow we're adults. Do.
We can record that right
some
now.
Some kind of like.
We can record that right now.
Everybody, be quiet.
Somehow we're adults.
So, this episode is about relationship red flags. This is the topic that Daniela chose. Why do I sound weird? Do I sound weird?
You always sound weird.
No, I'm being serious. Do I sound weird? I don't sound weird. There's not like a weird echo?
No.
Okay. All right, relationship red flags. So, I just want to preface this by saying that Daniela and I have been together since we were 19, and we were each other's first serious relationship. So
maybe we're not the best for that.
We're not the best for maybe we are the best for this because it's like we knew what we were looking for.
Okay, but even though we haven't been like dating tons of people, like we see everyone else around us, and because we're not in the relationship, we can clearly see what's like
maybe
not okay.
I'm thinking it's more of like, hold up, why isn't my microphone sound so? Oh, there we go. There's a little bit of sauce there. Okay, so I think that the holy cow, I'm too worried about this microphone right now. So
do you want to fix it and then start?
No. Nope. I will ride this out until I die. Nope. We're living it. Okay. It'll just bother me the entire podcast and just, whatever.
You edit
so maybe yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna leave all of it in. Why not?
Okay, keep going.
So I think that maybe it helps us to point out the red flags and stuff too, because we know what's important to us. I think the red flags of somebody are going to be different in every relationship. So, there's that.
Mine are probably a little extreme. I listen to a lot of...
How do you want to do this? Do you want to do like 101? Like I say one, you say one?
Sure.
Okay, you want to go first? Let's hear your first one.
They do not consult you prior to making major decisions.
Okay.
So I feel like that's kind of more like once you're in the relationship, but at the start, I feel like
even at the start, they should bounce the ideas off you.
I feel like it would show as like they don't like respect your feelings, or they don't really consider you when making plans. Like it could be like an ongoing thing, but just like the lack of caring.
It's almost like a lack of interest.
It's kind of like the lack of caring for like your input.
Right.
Whether it's like on where to go for dates, or like if you suggest, oh, let's go here, and they're like, no, that's stupid. Like
we had the opposite problem. We were like over consulting and be like, what should I have for breakfast today? You know what I mean? Just stupid shit. But like, so I guess that's the difference with that.
Anything you want to add about that? Like just like I feel like this could go like down a spiral from like little things to like major like financial like
for financial things it's huge.
Like,
For financial things, it's huge because it's like, if you don't, like, basically, we've pretty much got a rule. If it costs like over $100, like, we not only do we wait 24 hours, but we also like consult each other. So, that'll be a whole nother podcast where we talk about finances in a relationship. It's, there's that. There's the, you can't. It's two people in a relationship, and if one person rules over the other person, it's not a dictatorship. It's not. It is. You guys run a democratic household. At least we do.
And I feel like there's also different dynamics to like different relationships, like as far as like who
there definitely
has,
is.
Like,
doesn't mean it's good.
Say, but I feel like regardless of like what your situation is, there still should be like a conversation to be had if it's something major that's going to affect the other person.
I also think it's problematic if in a relationship if a guy is like the final say so. Because it's like, no, the final say-so should be the two adults, and they should, like, consult each other. And if you can't reach an agreement, that should tell you what your answer is to do nothing. But, like, it depends on the exact situation. But for most things, I would say that you should consult your other person, especially if it's, like, early on in dating. If there's one person who's more, like, pushy about what they want to do and what they're doing, that's going to be off-putting. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So my first one is shout out to Andrew. By the way, I used one of his terms, but I said she isn't chill, mega chill for 70 to 80% of the time.
at me.
I had to put, at first I put she isn't chill mega chill, and I was like, okay, no woman is chill mega chill. But then, I mean, she's just super cool. She's just super like down to earth and stuff like that. And she's not just constantly just freaking out about everything. Let's be honest, my dudes, if there's anybody listening, and women too, you know it. You know who you are. But
Watch what you say.
there's going to be craziness at least 20-30% of the time. That's just, but you're looking for the least amount of consistent craziness. Those are the least amount of consistent craziness. Tell me I'm wrong. Because you're going to have consistent craziness, but you want to make sure that there's going to be days where it's 100% craziness, and there's going to be days where it's 10%. But you're trying to get, by the law of averages, you're trying to get lower on that scale.
I feel like you just don't want like extreme emotional change like all the time to where you're kind of like walking on eggshells and not sure where it's going. I think this is for ladies out there, like guys having like extreme anger to where you're like scared to be in the same room. Like obviously that's an extreme situation, but I feel like all of those things start really small, where it's like one little lash out and then it just like progresses over time when they push your boundaries. I feel like that's just like a big one for girls too. Just watch how their emotions change throughout situations.
And if they yelling is like, to me, yelling is a sign of like weakness, that you can't think, that you have to like, that's still a childlike thing. It's like, I can't be heard, I need to yell. And you basically just need to watch it, like when you're early on in a relationship, watch how that person like handles problems, because if they're handling problems by screaming, then they're gonna do that in your relationship too. Because the thing with most relationships is there's what I would call the honeymoon phase, and most people would call the honeymoon phase, where you're like, oh my god, I can't ever imagine being mad at them. I vividly remember saying that to you. I was like, oh my god, she can do no wrong. And then now I'm like, oh my god, are you done in this cabinet? Can you close the cabinet, please? Can you close the closet door when you're done with it? Like
yesterday I was like, why is the maple syrup in the fridge?
It's just stupid shit. You just get mad at stupid shit. Yeah. Listen, the maple syrup says refrigerate after opening. We went over that last night.
Syrup.
You're like, I looked at the jar. Why does it? Whatever.
My family doesn't refrigerate anything, so we're always fighting about stuff that's refrigerated. I'm like, it literally has so many preservatives, it does not matter.
I just. This is gonna be like my stake in the coffin. You guys will open a bottle of ranch and then put it back in the pantry.
I agree with you on that.
Sounds like that will build. Either you will die or you will become a stronger person. That's build Vikings right there.
Ketchup, hot sauce, maple syrup, like that can live in the pantry.
No, it probably could. It'll probably be fine.
It will be fine.
But it tastes is better. Yeah, taste is just like you say. Yeah, just like you say, taste is better when you put in the. Okay, all right, your next one. Or did you want to say anything about that? Because you're you live in that 30 to 20% a lot. That's your average, I'd say.
I also listen to a lot of podcasts about like crazy stuff, so I feel like I'm the perfect person for this.
Yeah.
I would say like isolation, like not in an extreme manner. Obviously, this can be like, can you tell that I listen to podcasts a lot?
I know, right?
I would say more so like if you're trying to hang out with your friends and they're constantly having an issue with like you going out, or like if you're trying to make plans for your family and they're constantly like trying to like talk you down from spending time with people that you want to spend time. I feel like that's just like a really controlling environment that's not going to lead to anything good.
Yeah.
I feel like it also gives the other person way too much control over you if you don't have other people to talk to. But
that's a first sign of an abusive relationship, right? Like, is isolation.
Yeah. If you guys haven't listened to Something Was Wrong, like, go check it out. Like that.
Is that another podcast?
Yeah, it's another podcast, and they basically like, this is like a whole series about like really like extreme situations. Like we're talking about like people that have like second families, like like that kind of stuff.
That's crazy.
It's so good, and like you learn a lot from it too, because it always goes into like the psychology of it. So you can kind of slowly see how people like get to where they're at, because you're always like, that would never be me. There's no way I would be in that situation.
It's their origin story.
But So messed up. But like you slowly see how like it starts from like something really, really, really small that you would never think about. Like just like, hey, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends, and they're like, no, we're gonna go do this. Like you can't go hang out with your friends. Like, and then it leads to like this whole like extreme situation. Go listen to it. But with that, I was basically just kind of saying like that could also be reflected as like they don't make an effort to get to know the people that are important to you. So not only like do they not want you to spend time with other people, or they're constantly making excuses or making you feel bad for like wanting to be anywhere other than with them,
Right.
But also just like are they trying to get to know your best friend? Like do they want to meet your mom, your dad, like that kind of thing, that I feel like it's such a like basic relationship like must do. That like if they're not really making an effort to do that, like there's something wrong there.
Right. My thought, the sentence I've been trying to remember this whole time you were talking, so I don't forget it. No, you're fine. Is that like in a relationship, the person that you're, what's the word you would use for dating? Is there a better word? Is there a $3 word or is no?
Courting. No.
Oh yeah, the person you're courting. No, but if the person that you're in a relationship with, they should add value to your life. By add value, I mean they should add value, and then they should like enhance all your other relationships too because of that. You don't want somebody to cause problems with the in-laws and stuff like that too, and then be like, oh, well, I'm not going because I don't like them. And it's like, well, they're not going fucking anywhere unless they die tomorrow. They're not going anywhere. You're gonna have to learn to work through this. So, I think isolation is like it's definitely I would say a first sign of like troubled waters ahead. You know what I mean? If you start your relationship in the Bermuda Triangle and you're, that ship is gonna not make it very far.
I feel like there's also the other side of it where like if they're not wanting to introduce you to their people, like if they're being really secretive. So like, do you know who their friend is?
Right.
Have you met their parents?
Cousins. Yeah.
Like, do you know anything outside of what they tell you?
Right. And another thing too, because it's not all relationships are had local to all those people. We have a lot of friends that have moved from other states and stuff like that. But like, I mean, look, ladies and gentlemen, it's 2023, almost 2024. Like, there's so many different ways that you can meet them, like FaceTime or like a phone call. You know what I mean?
There's no reason why you shouldn't know that. And I know, okay, for me, when we were dating, I never brought anyone home.
What do you mean?
Like, anyone like that I would talk to or anything like that, like, they never met my parents or anything like that, because I'm like, I'm not going to bring my family into a situation that is more than likely not going to go anywhere.
You're so cynical all the time.
I know, I've always been that way, but like, for me, that was like a big one. I'm like, why would I introduce you to my family? Would I go through all of that if this isn't going to go anywhere? So
I feel like Ricky Bobby right now. I'm the best there ever was, plain and simple. With the number one.
That's how I knew.
I don't know, do it with my hands right now. No, I'm just kidding. But I feel like Ricky Bobby. I feel I'm the best there ever was, plain and simple. I wake up in the morning and I piss excellent.
I feel like that was like such a like good thing for us too, because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually excited for him to like meet my family, and I know they're not going to have like anything like negative to say about it, kind of thing. So
that's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other conversation.
But I'm talking about just like first impressions, and like I wouldn't have felt any type of way for you to like come back to family events, kind of thing.
If somebody's listening who's like traditional Spanish, I'll just go ahead and tell you. Like, I walked in and clearly your boy's neon white, and there was a moment of like a up down look of all of her brothers where they were like, "¿Qué pasa?" Like,
I don't know why they were shocked.
It was funny. It was definitely funny. There was a trial period in their minds where they're like, I don't know. He doesn't even speak Spanish. I'm like, hola.
I know.
Me
that was
llamo
funny.
Ryan.
But you're also like, you could be friends with the wall. So I felt like that was kind of like...
Nobody has ever said it better than that lady working at AT&T.
Oh my gosh, you're literally the white boy. Golden retriever?
I'm a golden retriever white boy. What is she... Because she said... What
like,
is it about these Spanish girls all dating these golden retriever white dudes? And I literally was like, what the fuck does that even mean? A. And B, why does it make so much sense?
It's like you're like in any situation, like you don't have to speak the language, you don't even have to know what's going on,
I'm a
and you're
fucking
over
vibe,
in the
bro.
corner like shaking your tail all happy.
I'm a fucking vibe. That's why I like the podcast. I'm a fucking vibe, dude.
You really are. Sometimes I'm like, please stop.
Yeah, yeah. I can get along with people.
You can.
I think that's my number one trait. Okay. So this one's important for me because I'm somebody who plans for the future, uses the past as like guidance for the future, and then is also trying to stay in the present. But I would say she only thinks in either the right now, the past, or the future. You need to have a healthy balance of all of those things because let's be honest, I mean, statistically speaking, women have higher levels of depression and anxiety, which means they focus a lot on the past. And so if they don't have like a like for guys, I don't know if there's any dudes that are listening that are super financially minded, but like if they're not thinking about like retirement one day and like what they want in the future, and they're not like, it's hard for them to be present, like those are all things that you're going to have to work through because that's a hard thing to deal with. And with depression and anxiety, it's just something that they're going to have, they should be wanting to deal with that on their own before the relationship. You shouldn't have to talk somebody in to be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be sad anymore, or maybe you should consult somebody to help you with your sadness. And then there just needs to be a healthy balance between the all three, because there's such a thing as thinking too much into the future, right?
Like over planning.
Yeah, over planning, and maybe being like so consumed with like what retirement's going to happen, and oh my gosh, I need to be, you know, there's such a thing as being consumed in too much. There's also such a thing as a person being too present, where it's like you're not worried about the past or the future, and then you know your past is what you use to help guide you for the future too. So that there needs to be a healthy balance of all three of those things.
I had a point and I just lost it.
Yeah, this see. Well, so I'm assuming your point was based on something like if they're too focused on the past. That doesn't help if you're too focused on it, because that can cause.
I feel like this is like a really like almost sensitive one, because like mental health is not something you just get over. Mm-mm. And sometimes you'll be fine, and then every now and then it's like you'll have like 3-4 months that are really bad out of nowhere.
Right.
So I feel like that would be like almost a combination of the two people. Like, yes, a person that's going through it like needs to be willing to like work through whatever it is they're dealing with, and like actively, like it's not anything that's just going to go away, but it's also like you need to like, are you going to therapy? Are you talking to someone?
Right.
Are you like
they should be working
out? Like, are you doing anything to try to make that situation better?
Right.
But I feel like there's also like on the other hand, like if your partner's going through something tough, like are you emotionally mature enough to deal with that situation, or are you just going to be like, this is too hard, I'm out?
Yeah.
So like I feel like it's kind of like that's going to obviously come up at some point in the relationship, and there needs to be like a sense of the person feeling safe enough to confide that in you.
Right.
And being like vulnerable enough to like share that with you, but at the same time, like how are you going to react to those situations?
Another thing too that I should mention when I mentioned that one, it's with the idea that in a relationship you would want to pursue it for a long time. Because I'll be honest, there's a lot of people that they're just dating for fun. They're not looking for a long-term commitment, and they don't care necessarily about that one. They're just trying to hook up,
Yeah,
as the kids these days would say. And you know, that's not what this podcast is for us. I mean, obviously we've been together for over 7 years now, and I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we're going to be a lot further than that too. But I think that if you're looking long-term wise, like you have to be considerate of the future, the past, and the present. And you need to have a happy balance of all of them, because I mean, hell, being an adult's difficult, right? I mean, that's why the name of the podcast is Somehow We're Adults, is trying to figure all that out. But like, I mean, you have to be able to be present, because how many times are we just like, oh my God, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I got to do that. And you're so worried about what you're doing in the future that it's like, you got to stop and smell the roses sometimes, you know?
I feel like there's also like a culture of like a me kind of mentality. Like people now, like just from what I've seen, like people go into relationships with like, what can they give me?
Yes.
Like, what can I take from this relationship to improve my life?
Oof.
But they don't ask themselves, what am I giving the other person?
Yep, and that's how I feel about the politics in this country. Is too many people are saying, "What can the government do for me?"
And I feel like it's also like a sense of like a lot of people are looking for this like perfect relationship, or like, oh, once I finish my career, then I'll like get into a healthy relationship. But it's like you shouldn't have to wait till good things happen in your life to have a good relationship. Like, I feel like people can grow along with you. And I feel like too many people are like waiting and stalling that part of their life to have like this perfect situation, like all the stars align. And it's like, no, like relationships aren't like that. Like you have to like it's not easy.
Not only that, like one of the things I just remembered was that, like, you know, there was a part in my life where I was like, you know, I was wanting to be in a relationship because I thought that would make me happy. But I had to learn that you have to be happy by yourself first. And then when you add somebody else in, it just makes you happier. It doesn't make you happy if you're not happy.
Yeah.
So you have to be happy first, and then it makes you happier when you get in a relationship. If you're not happy, it's you're going to be looking for something that person can't give you, and that's you know, something that, you know, you got to address. What's your next one? Did we just do yours, or did we just do mine?
That was yours.
Okay,
we
go ahead.
rambled on. The way they talk to you. So, are they like talking down?
That's a red flag, or just like you're gonna say like a.
And the negative side effect, like, are they like? I feel like there's like people that do like these like backhanded. Wow, my Georgia just came out. My backhanded.
I didn't hear it.
People that have like these like backhanded or like condescending comments. Where you just need to watch out. Like, how are they speaking to you? Are they like respecting you as a person? Are they kind of making you feel like some sort of way in the way that they address you? I feel like this is also like in situations where y'all do come up with conflict, like how do they talk to you when that stuff happens?
Do they have respect? Yeah.
I feel like that was like the biggest thing. Like whenever I started dating you and all that, she's like, the one thing you cannot do is lose respect for each other. And that's as simple as like every now and then like yelling at each other, or like starting to like make fun of the other person, or like there's little things that over time accumulate. So just be mindful of how you feel when they are addressing you, or how you feel when they are talking to other people about you. Like when you're in a room, are they making you feel good, or are they constantly like making you look like a horrible person?
I always say that like one thing that helps me is your relationship is like a bank account, but an emotional bank account. If you're always making withdrawals, then you're going to go negative, and you're going to have to, your bank account's going to get closed. But you have to be making deposits. You have to be making more deposits than you do withdrawals. So, you know.
I feel like you can also see this in like how they treat other people. I did notice this with you when we first started dating that you probably don't even think about. But like anytime we would go out, you would be like extra nice to like any wait staff.
Oh man, I'm
Like,
notorious.
it
I hit people over the head with thank
so
you.
cool to watch.
God, I hit people over the head with thank you when they're servers. Like they'll be like, "Here's a straw, here's your drink, here's some napkins," and I'm like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you,
You're
thank
like,
you."
thank you. That has changed my life. Like I needed a straw. Like
I feel so weird being served. I don't know. It's like I can't handle people being nice to me, and I think that's part of my big love language. Is like I'm acts of service.
And I feel like also like when we didn't get what we ordered, like
God,
you
just don't
would
say
have
anything.
so much trouble being like, "Excuse me, I wanted the mashed potatoes."
No, that's not me. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
No,
I
like,
just.
he ordered mashed potatoes. No, okay.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm like, it's fine. Rice is fine. Stop, Danny. Stop. Rice is fine. Rice is fine. It'll be whatever it's gonna be. They're just gonna throw it away anyways. I like rice. I wanted mashed potatoes tonight, but I like rice.
But it's just one of those things. It's like you treat all of your friends the same way. Obviously, y'all like make fun of each other, and there's that. But you still treat them with respect, and you're still like going out of your way to like accommodate what situation they're in. What's wrong?
I need to go to the bathroom.
Oh,
Can we hold for a second?
I'll just stop talking.
Okay, sorry.
Somehow we're adults.
Back to your regularly scheduled program. Sorry that people. I had to run to the restroom real quick. This coffee just be doing its thing, dog. You know what I'm saying?
I went last, so you go now.
All right. She is hung up on other people easily.
Ooh.
because my thought is that if she can't do like the Elsa and they just let it go, then it's no good.
Are you referring to like past relationships or just people in general?
People in general. If there's one thing, if you have like a bad altercation with somebody or something really devastated, but like if it's something minor and she can't just go, oh well, I can't control what they do. Like if she's hung up on everybody for all kinds of different ways and she spends the majority of her time just complaining about other people, it's like, dude, you're gonna be one of them. Better keep up. Yeah.
That's true. I feel like there's a lot to say about how people treat others, because it's kind of like one of those things where like you're with your friends, like if they talk crap all the time, like chances are they're going to talk crap about you.
It's not constructive. Exactly. It's not constructive. Yeah. And it's like, come on, like, can't we, I don't know about you and most people, but I'm pretty sure I know about you, but most people, like, it's like, let's focus on like enjoying life. And to me, in like every now and then it is fun to talk shit about somebody, or like not somebody, but like, you know what I mean, like just a vent, but that shouldn't be all of your interactions.
Yeah, like if you're on I don't really know how that dynamic works with like a relationship, because you don't talk bad about anyone.
Me?
Yeah,
That's not true.
I feel like it's very rare. So I feel
Right,
like
but exactly,
I can't
like I'm saying,
comment on that.
it shouldn't be all the time. That's what I'm saying. If she is hung up on other people easily, meaning like next thing you know, like if the majority of your conversations are, oh, XYZ person bothered me because blah 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 blah, I can't believe they would do that, and they just harbor on it for forever, and it's like, you shouldn't let other people be controlling you that much. Now, I understand that there's times when you're in the shower and you're like, you had an argument with somebody, you're like, I should have said that, you know what I mean? But that's different. If that's all the time and you're literally like, oh my God, like, it's not that big of a deal that they like bought you a candle that you don't like the smell of, like, let it go. It was a nice gesture. Just move on. It's like, you know, there's such a thing as being too hung up on other people, and if that's the majority of their thing, it's like, because you're gonna be one of them if you don't play your cards right. It's just a matter of time.
I feel like also no one wants that negativity all the time.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's part of what I'm saying. To me, that's a red flag. You don't want that negativity all the time, because it's gonna get turned on you. Once it gets turned on you, there's no turning it around either.
I feel like you could almost extend that to just like complaining in general. Like, you don't want someone that's constantly
That's
like,
fair. Yeah.
Like, not necessarily just like the gossip or the talking bad, but just like,
Yeah.
is there ever anything that they're happy about, kind of thing? Like, is it always like, well, this happened to me, or like that sort of like victim mentality? I feel like that's kind of just like not a good quality to have.
Yeah.
Like, are they ever excited about anything?
If that's the only thing that you guys can, I don't want to use the word vibe, but like, I can't think of any other words right now because it's too early in the morning.
Bond over?
If that's the only thing you guys can bond over is talking shit about others, it's like, maybe you guys should either listen to our hobbies podcast. My hobbies are important. Or maybe do a little bit of planning. Our last podcast was scheduling. Maybe let's just throw a couple ideas on the calendar of things to do that aren't talking shit about other people. So, but it's okay to do that in small doses. But I'm just saying it shouldn't be an overwhelming thing where they get home and all they talk about is everybody that did something bad to them at work, and then the next thing you know, you're talking about in-laws, and they're just mad about your in-laws, and then your friends, and then it's demoralizing to just be like, okay, is everybody just shitty to you? Like, do you like anybody? Like, you know, they should be able to build relationships, not just have relationships to hold them and talk shit about them, because it's not going to be good. Your life's going to be chaos.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that. I feel like that's pretty like
We can move
self-explanatory.
on. Yeah, because we're starting to fill up this podcast.
They don't make time for you or show that they have any interest in you. So
That one's difficult, though.
they're always too busy
Yeah.
to schedule anything with you, and you're the one that's constantly chasing after them. They're too busy to text back.
That one's a difficult one, because I know a lot of guys who, like, they're like me. As soon as their head comes off the pillow in the morning, it's just like freaking full sprint till the end, and then as soon as my head hits the pillow at the end of the day, it's just
Yeah,
out.
but when we were dating, you were also like, "Oh, what's your schedule for the week? Let's go plan something." Because
Yeah.
I was like on a
when we were
weekly
both
like
working
changing schedule. But
shift
you
work.
like always, or you would like text me in the morning or like kind of stuff. Like I'm not saying like there should be your only priority, but if you're the only one that's putting effort in, and anytime you reach out to the person, you're not hearing anything back, like maybe that's not the person for you.
That's, I mean, even past a relationship or a dating relationship, just friendships. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing worse than being in a relationship with a partner or a friend or something like that, and feeling the relationship being lopsided. Because that, I mean, I don't know about you, but that sucks. You know. And that's, you better try to find the early signs of that in a relationship. And I think, what would be like an early sign of telling that? Like, if they just don't make time for you, like you're saying, like if they only have time for you like in the evening times, you know what I mean? Like, I get that they're working or something like that too, but if they don't like text you and like randomly and be like, oh, hey, I was thinking about you, or XYZ,
Or that whole like, oh, I didn't see your text and it's been 3.5 days. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly. It's like, did I just not exist for 3 days?
Like, if you're actively like looking to date this person and you got like, I'm not saying like it has to be like a serious thing, but like
You should at least talk every day.
you should have some sort of communication. And if that communication it's only one way, like
Yeah.
chances are they're not going to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like-
and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to compound. I agree with that. My next one is laziness, or lazy way too often. There is a time for laziness, but if you feel like it's heavy lifting to support that relationship, my guy, vacate.
That's a good one.
There should be times when you guys are lazy together, lazy separate, but it shouldn't be like one person doing everything. Because from my experience watching other relationships, if one person handles everything, it just gets worse and worse and worse. If not every relationship is 50-50 on the work, because there's different things. It's not 50-50. It's, what's the
We should
term?
make a whole podcast just on that.
It's like 100. Well, we kind of the no plan B kind of thing, I guess. But when we did that one, but it's two people each giving 100%. But like, there's things that I'm naturally good at that she's doesn't notice. Like, you don't take the trash out. Like, you don't take the trash down to the road. That's like a whole event, living down a dirt road. You know what I mean? Like, so that's something that I have taken responsibility of that. I have taken responsibility of making sure our vehicles work. I have taken responsibility of like, just several different things when it comes to that. Making sure we have like a substantial amount of frozen food to live off of for a while.
That's
Just
like me with organization, or making sure we constantly
Right.
have like laundry detergent,
or making the
stuff
sink
like that.
is wiped down. Like, I don't notice if the sink has been wiped down or if the showers like those things don't even cross my mind, and you handle those things mostly. So it's not 100%, but like, if there's one person who is doing a very lopsided amount of things, my dude, it only gets worse.
I feel like you see this a lot in like the traditional like nuclear family. Like if you think of it like a traditional family, like it's typically the woman in the kitchen, the woman doing everything, which I feel like if that's what you want, like that's on you. Like,
Grows
not to
resentment,
say
yeah.
there's anything wrong with like homemaking, but if you both are working, there is no reason why you're the only person cooking. There is no reason why you're the only person doing laundry. If you're both are spending 40 hours a week
Yeah.
making money, you both should be putting in 50-50 when or not necessarily 50-50, but there should be like a level of like, he shouldn't be on the couch watching TV when you're over there making dinner.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
Yeah. Oh, TV's. We could almost make a whole nother podcast about. That's why. That's what I was just making a note about.
I don't know. I just feel like you shouldn't be the only one responsible when the other person is just like being a couch potato. Like,
Yeah.
that's just like,
Or like spends too much time on their hobbies, because as somebody who has a lot of hobbies, like there's definitely times where I've got to like get up regardless of if I want to or not, and like do stuff around the house because it's only fair.
and it's hard. This is something that I've like definitely struggled in our relationship with, is like, not seeing everything as like 50-50 and not being angry or resentful when I feel like I'm doing more than you.
My guy, struggle is not a good word for that.
Like, I get so overwhelmed that I know that he's doing stuff, but then it gets like super frustrating when I feel like it's a normal thing to struggle with, and like what has helped me through it. Stop laughing at me.
Sorry, I just picture that meme where it's just like a dude like sits on the couch, like butt touches the couch after doing 12 hours work. They're like, oh my God, you're just going to do nothing all day?
Yeah,
it's like,
that's me.
What?
I feel
I'm sorry, you slept in today and I was awake for 6 hours before you to do stuff. And it's like...
But I feel like that's the thing with me, because I like struggle with like... What's the word? Like being like... hospitable, like like when people come to my house, I get stressed out, and that's something that I've had to like actively work on. Like, it's okay, your house doesn't have to be perfect, you don't have to have like this like full platter that's perfect to like enjoy people.
Yeah, like the devil on one shoulder, the angel on the other. The angel's like, no, the house is fine. They're people too. Their house probably looks the same. Looks similar to yours. And then the devil's like, no, their house is perfect, and they're judging you.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, they saw that it didn't clean the walls today. Like, it's just like a whole thing.
It's like, I didn't scrub the tree
like,
outside. They're gonna be
upset. The windows.
Yeah.
They're gonna see my dirty windows. But I feel like for me, like that's like one that I've constantly struggled throughout our relationship. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, it's fine. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I could strangle you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a whole like podcast, because I know I'm not the only one that goes through that. But I struggle with not feeling like I'm the only one doing it. And what has helped me is just realizing that we're both in it, and that we both have to like, in a way, serve each other. So, like, you're doing everything you can to make my life easier. I'm doing everything I can to make your life easier. Why is my brain not working this morning? I feel like every thought is so scattered. And a lot of it's, like, just seeing it as, like, I'm grateful that I have laundry that I need to do.
Right.
Like, we have clothes that we can willingly pick for, and we're not down to, like, rags. Like,
right.
Like, just seeing, like, when there's dishes, it's like, I'm grateful that we have dishes to clean, because that means we had food to eat.
Right.
Like, that's just a whole mind shift that I've had to really do, and it's been, like, a big one for me, but...
Especially with your, like, anxiety and depression, too. It's hard to deal with, like, gratitude. When it feels like everything around you is crumbling, it's like... Okay, all right, the walls are falling down around me emotionally, but how can I stop in this moment and just turn like, oh my God, there's too many dishes, into a positive? That's definitely a mind shift for people. My next one, because you just went, right?
Yeah, I think that was me.
All right, so my last one of my 5 red flags was she isn't willing or wanting to work as a team. Because now there's things like, obviously they need to be independent on certain things, but when it comes to like how many times do you start like arguing about something with me and I'm like, hey dude, same team. Like I'm not against you, because there's this thing that happens when you're growing up that like your parents tell you to do something and you're like, you start like taking it personally and being like, no, that's not, I'm not doing that. Oh my gosh. Like, and the next thing you know, you're arguing with them. It's like, there's a, when you go into a relationship, it's like, hey man, we're a team. Like you, this is something I noticed with you, is that like, you'll talk to me like I'm a parent telling you what to do. And I'm like, I'm not your parent. I'm not telling you what to do. This is a conversation. So like, I can feel the emotional walls coming up. I need you to lower those and realize that we're both in the same castle, dog. I'm not outside the moat waiting to get in. It's like, no, dude, same team.
So
same
this
team.
whole thing of red flags about me?
I just thought of everything I hate about you and put it down on the list. No, obviously not. I was thinking, what I tried to do was just like sit down and be like, if I had to date now, like what are some of the things that early on I would look for that could dictate whether or not it would be a good relationship in the future, and like what would be like things I would look for.
I feel like that one is from personal experience, coming from like a lot of shit in my life. It's a struggle to realize that just because you're not like, there's almost a sense of like self-preservation almost.
Preservation, yep.
Whatever the word is. I can't
preservation.
Stop making fun of me. I can't pronounce things.
that was a good one. You fumbled
Preservation?
that one. That one, like, it was like, whoa, as the word came out.
I can't pronounce
Bro,
anything,
that one
okay?
zigzagged out of your mouth, dude. I've seen it.
It's like Spanish and English merging together.
Preservation.
Preservation?
Yes.
Is that how you say it? Okay, preservation. Stop laughing at me.
Acting like English isn't your first language.
It isn't sometimes.
It's not the one you learned first, but it's
like-
definitely your first language.
It's like the weirdest thing. Like when I get tired, my brain goes to Spanish mode and I cannot pronounce things. It's the weirdest thing ever. Anyways, I feel like from personal experience, like constantly having this like
I'm sorry. I
Stop
just thought about it again.
laughing.
I'm not trying to. I just thought about it.
You know,
again.
this is what you don't want when you're trying to be vulnerable.
Just
No,
for everybody
I quit.
listening, we woke up at 5 today. And we went to bed at like 10:30 last night. It just, we're a little silly.
Can I finish my
Yes.
sentence?
Sorry.
You're not acting like a team right now.
I muted myself. Go.
Okay, he muted himself. Good. So I don't even know what I was saying anymore. Gosh. So for me personally, what was your point?
I'm muted. You have
Can
the
you
floor.
unmute yourself and repeat your
No.
point? Because I completely forgot now.
Preservation, dog. That was my point. I don't know. I'm stuck on that. Can we just go?
Can you repeat your point? Because I kind of forgot.
She isn't willing or wanting to work as a team. Same team, dog.
Okay, so for me, when we first started, like the whole transitioning into, because we moved in together really early on, almost, kind of ish, but we were really young and it was still fairly non-traditional. So for me, it was hard to let go of the sense of needing to protect myself. And like realizing that, hey, just because someone else is involved in every decision doesn't mean like you're not going to be okay, kind of thing. That was like a big transition for me because it's like I had to stop thinking in the me, like how can I like create the safe environment around me and realizing that you're now in my bubble and everything's like a we situation.
Can I make a
rambled.
note? Can I make a note on that?
Yes.
Like in the household that you grew up in, a traditional Spanish household, like you had to have emotional barriers because it was just everyone had an opinion, and you had 4 older brothers, and you were the only girl, and there was, it was very chaotic emotionally, and you had to have those emotional barriers because you had to be, stick to your guns kind of thing, and then we get in a relationship, and I'm like, hey, I'm not one of your brothers, I'm different, and I need you to treat me different. Kind of thing like that. So.
I feel like it was almost like any decision that I had to make back then in like my entire life, I had to think through for like 3-4 months prior to actually verbalizing it with people, so that by the time I did say it out loud, like I had already made my decision.
And you exploded.
Like no
probably.
one around me could have changed that.
Yep.
So I felt like that was like a big transition. I don't even know if I want to put all this in the pod. I felt like that was just like a big transition from like, hey, like I need to create all of these steps to make my life where I want it to go versus, hey, now we're a team and both of us are actively working to create our life.
Yep. So do you have any more red flags, or was that all of them? Because you went first, so you should have been done by now. There was 5, right? We did 5?
I haven't done 5.
Oh.
Did I do they don't respect our boundaries?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. So another one for me would be like if you have told them like, hey, what you're doing, like I don't like it. Like this is a boundary, like don't cross it. And they're constantly like going back and pushing on that.
If they don't respect you and they act like that boundary is like not a big deal, like that's, to me, that's disrespectful of that person. It's like just because something's not a big deal to you doesn't mean it's not to that other person.
Like if you're constantly like saying something and you have told them, hey, like I don't appreciate that, like please stop, and their response is like, oh, you're just being too sensitive, or I was just joking, like
that is a sign, dude.
Like run from the hills.
Yeah.
or if you feel pressured to act a certain way or do certain things when you have clearly stated in the past that you're not comfortable with that, like you should not be pressured to do anything in a relationship.
Yeah, 100%. Now, to say that, there's a fine line too. There's a fine line of like convincing, as far as that goes with you, convincing you like, hey, you're being a little dramatic about this. And being like, oh, you're being dramatic about everything. Let me make every decision for you, and being pushy about it. Am I wrong? Because there's times where you're like, oh my God, like I don't want to do, like I'm trying to think of a good example. I don't want to go to this event. Let's say there's an event that you need to go to, and it's like, I don't want to go to this event. Like it's going to not be fun. Like da-da-da-da. It's like, hey, like you haven't tried this. Like you're just being dramatic. Like give it some thought, give it some time, give it some energy. Like if we go, we can, if you hate it, we can leave, you know what I mean? Like, but like, let's go, like do this. Like, I want to do this. Like you're just being dramatic. And then there's a point where it's like, I don't care what you think, we're going.
Yeah.
There's difference. There's a fine line.
I feel like this can be like, in a lot of situations, like you can set like emotional boundaries. You can set like, obviously if you're in a relationship, like sexual boundaries, like stuff like that. Also like, your comfort level, like you don't want to feel unsafe in a relationship regardless of what the situation is. So if you're just constantly noticing that you're telling the other person like, hey, don't do this, hey, I don't appreciate this, hey, I don't feel comfortable past this point in any sort, like it doesn't have to be like any specific category, and you're constantly made almost like you're being crazy or you're being irrational or you're being too sensitive. Like
if they make you feel like less of a person.
If they're gaslighting you guys, if they are gaslighting you.
I don't understand, but
so
no, what I'm saying is like if they make you feel like less of a person, like feel like something's wrong with you constantly, it's no good.
Or if you're like saying something and then they're like, oh, you're just making things up now. Like there's a lot.
Respect. I mean, a lot of these boil down to, do they respect you, or are they at least attempting to respect you?
And follow your gut. Like the biggest thing is like, when you feel happy, when you feel safe with someone, when you can be yourself. Follow your gut. If something's telling you like, hey, like that doesn't feel right, or hey, I don't like how like this is going, like don't stick around just to stick around. I'm
gonna make a bold statement for ladies and dudes. If you're in a relationship, if you had to raise, like, just imagine you had to raise kids with that person. Just assume you have to. Do the principles of that person, like, is that good for your kids or is that bad for your kids? Because if you had to raise somebody with it, which often happens for people in early relationships, they end up having children when they, weren't ready for that. It just, it's one of those things. It doesn't happen by accident, but I guess does. But regardless, if you had to raise kids with them, it's like, do the values and the principles of that person align with what you would want your kids to be like?
I feel like you could even take that a step further and be like, if I had a little sister or if I had kids, would I want my kids in this situation?
Right.
Would I be comfortable with my kid going out with this person? Would I be comfortable with my kid being talked to this way, or my sister, or whatever you want to think of? I feel like that also takes you outside of the situation and lets you look at it from a different perspective. Yeah.
Did you write any green flags down?
I did.
Okay. I'm just going to breeze through these because we're almost at the hour mark. All right. So she cares about you, not what you do, within reason. Because she should care what you do, but it shouldn't be like everything you do is wrong. She focuses on herself first and you second, because that is more important. There is such a thing as a person can only serve another person for so long before they just like go bananas. So make sure they are serving themselves first. They have that's might be controversy to some people, but like put yourself first and then them second.
Like you can't,
because you can't pour from an empty pitcher. That's my favorite quote. Shout out from Rachel Hollis. That's where I've heard it from. So the next one is she has healthy habits, because they're going to have habits one way or another. And you have to decide if what those habits are going to be, beneficial in the long run, or if it's going to slowly start deteriorating. Like, I always tell my friends that are single and be like, man, this dating life is hard. And I'm like, yeah, because you're going on Tinder. Like, maybe you should talk to people in the grocery store or like at the gym, like places where people are doing healthy things. Like if you go to the grocery store and you see they're buying a bunch of like Cheetos and Fritos, it's like, okay, these are unhealthy habits. But if they're like, if you look in their like grocery cart and they've got like, healthy food and they're meal prepping and they're focused on themselves and they're in gym clothes because they just left the gym and they might be a little sweaty, it's like, like walk up to that person and be like, hey, I dig what you's got going down, and get their phone number.
It's like you're not going to walk into a strip club looking for a wife. Like, look at the environment that you're looking into to see what you're going to get out of it.
Exactly. She doesn't care what others think, but is considerate of others' feelings.
That's a good one.
Yes, because you have to be independent emotionally from other people. However, there is such a thing as being a dickhead. And being like, oh, I don't give a shit. I'm not changing anything about me. It's like, you should be considerate of others' feelings, but not let others control who you are. The other one is she is compassionate and sweet. Those are good qualities.
Do I have all of those? That was not the response I needed.
If you remember, when we first started dating, there was a day where you were compassionate and sweet. I remember that. Just kidding.
He signed the paperwork.
Just kidding. Just kidding. She made tortillas the other day for herself and I.
I have to put myself first, remember?
Yeah, exactly. All right, what are yours? Breeze through.
They're goal oriented, so they know what they want. They're not just like going through the motions and trying to figure things out as like things come up kind of thing.
That kind of parallels the healthy habits, right?
Yeah, they just kind of have to have like a sense or like a direction as to like what they want their life to look like.
They can't just be floating through life.
Yeah. They work through issues. They don't just run. So the smallest little thing, like it's like they can't just be like, oh, this is too hard, I'm out. Or
do not bottle up your emotions.
Or like if you guys have even like the smallest argument and they're like, okay, I'm done with this conversation. Like
there's such a thing where you pause that argument and table it for later, but like address it as soon as you're not mad.
Yeah. Even like if you're in a relationship, like a long-term relationship and it's been like, a couple of years or whatnot, like when problems come up, are they throwing in the D word? Like, is divorce an option on the table?
Threats. That should have been a good red flag. Threats. Yeah. Oof. It's no good.
Well, I'll just leave. Like, that's not an option. Like, that shouldn't even be on the table if you guys are looking for, like, an active, like, long-term relationship. There should be no out.
Oh, man, that was such a good one. I should have noted that. No threats. Because what's the point in threatening somebody?
Well, I'll just leave. Well, I'll just go to my mom's. Like, no, that's not an option. Like, you guys are in it together, and you guys need to figure it out.
Yeah, say sorry often, and let it go, Elsa.
That's,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, don't get hung up on little issues that really.
Well, no, like if you apologize to me for something, I just have to let it go.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, I always think of it like, if I woke up tomorrow, would I still be mad about this, or is this just going to be like a 5-minute like it's really not worth it?
Why did he not wipe the shower down and scrub it like I do? You know what I mean? It's like you get mad, you blow up for a second. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I don't care about the shower as much as you do.
Maybe don't word it like that, but
it's when I'm mad, that's exactly how I'd word it. I'm sorry that you want me to care about it more than I do.
I feel like there should be like a whole episode on just like apologizing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just need a list of all the things you're sorry for.
What's next?
They show effort and they make you feel special and safe. Like, I know. Just like effort's a big one for me. Like, in case you guys can tell, it comes up like in every single podcast. Like, they just need to show that they care. Like, in the smallest way possible. Like, we're not looking for like the biggest act of like
I open the door for you when you get home. Like, just stupid stuff.
To this day, you still don't let me open the car door.
That's not true.
It's very rare, and it's normally because you have like we're either like rushing out, but like I would say 99% of the time I don't open the car door.
In moments where it would be sweet, there is such a, like you said, if we're rushing, like there's no
Even
time
then.
for cuteness because we're high level here. But I'm saying, like, if we're walking, like if we just had dinner and we're like walking back to the car, like I'm getting your door.
Like, we could be leaving, like, your grandma's house and you typically open the car door. Like, we could be leaving the grocery store and you're opening. Like, it's just a thing.
Yeah.
Like, just little things that they show that they care about you and they're still thinking about you. It's not like they're taking you for granted. They're kind to everyone around you. So it's like they don't just need to treat you with respect, but you don't want someone that you don't feel comfortable going out to dinner because they're just going to explode on the waiter.
Oof.
Or you don't want someone
Ooh, how
that...
they treat the wait staff. Ooh.
That's a big one. Like, they have to be humble.
Oh man, how do they handle their drink not being full? Mm-hmm. Oh man.
Or, like, how do they treat their mom? How do they treat their family? Like,
Thank
are
you
they
for not saying how do I treat my dad, because that's not good sometimes.
Yes, you're still really nice to your dad.
I try.
Your dad pushes your limits sometimes.
It is,
but
yeah, you know, it's a
you can work
father-son
on that.
It's a father-son relationship. It can be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It can be difficult.
But that happens. Anything you want to add to that?
Is that what was that one? Say it again.
You're kind to everyone around you. They listen to you.
Yeah, yeah. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna repeat that because that needs to resonate. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if they can't handle little situations good, what's going to make them handle big situations good?
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah.
My last one was like, you just don't feel comfortable. You don't feel like you can be yourself. You're constantly... Well, I guess that's not a bad one. That's not a good one. You just have to feel comfortable. You have to feel safe. You have to feel wanted in a relationship. You can't have like questions about just existing around the other person.
Yep. Run the vibe check, dog.
Yeah.
Run the vibe check. Vibes
Good
off.
vibes. I
Vibes
hate
off.
that so much.
Vibes
but-
off. Vibes off, dude. We're on my podcast, bruh. Should we talk about jiu-jitsu now for being real douchey? No, just kidding. On my podcast.
You have a podcast, your hat is on backwards, like you're
I
wearing
know.
True
I
Classic.
was
Like,
tell-
I don't
I
know
was-
what else you want.
True Classic's a nice t-shirt. They're a comfortable t-shirt. But regardless.
Not sponsored.
Regardless.
But you can't sponsor us.
We're going to come to a head on this because we've been going for a while. But I'm like, I walked past a mirror the other day and I saw myself and I'm like, when did I become a douchebag? What I used to consider a douchebag looks like me.
I always joke with him. I'm like, you're like a typical frat boy. You didn't even go to college.
You say that, but like I'm a very honorable frat boy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I try to be an honorable person, so it's a little different. I'm not just. I definitely was out there wilding when I was in high school, but that's a whole other conversation. I've always been a little bit more on the mature side. So you hear I said that? I said that like I'm a very mature person.
That's up for debate.
I'm better than you. I'm just kidding. All right, are you done?
I think I'm done.
Are you
I'm
done?
talking.
Are you done? Okay.
Stop being controlling.
All right, guys. If you have any episode topic ideas, just go on our Instagram. Somehow we're adults. Check us out. There's gonna be all kinds of clips there. I try and post those regular on Instagram. They're also on YouTube. If you're seeing this full podcast, check out some of the other ones. We have a good time making these for you. Subscribe, hit the little bell button, and turn on notifications so you can find out when we put out a new video. I'm trying to put out content as much as possible.
We're trying to make these a weekly thing.
Yeah.
So please send us topics.
Yeah, because we're just kind of just flying by the seat of our pants right now, and we want to know what you want to hear.
We're
obviously.
like Googling like relationship topics to talk about.
Chat GPT. What do people need to know? I legitimately did that. Whatevs. But subscribe, follow, listen to other episodes of the podcast, and thank you guys if you're coming back for another podcast. Appreciate it. We enjoy making this for you guys, so keep it coming. We wake up at 5 a.m. to do a podcast early on a Thursday, so that way we can make sure we have content for that Sunday. Like we're really trying to make sure we put out these podcasts every Sunday. I'm still going to be doing the interview style podcasts with other people. You know, some of the ones where we just get hammered and have fun. I'm still going to be doing those. It's just going to be less frequent. I'm trying to think of ways to have regular content, and so we're looking to add a couple different things too. So we're going to keep doing the relationship podcast one way or another, even if it means we just sit down and look at headlines of news articles and just talk about them as a relationship. We could still do that. So, anything to add?
Nope. Sounds good to me.
All right, guys. Peace out. Love you.
Love you.
This episode of Somehow We're Adults is over.
But if you'd like to support the podcast, you can subscribe to one of the levels of the Patreon, where we will release bonus episodes that can't be found anywhere else. Any of the money that we get from the Patreon would be used to upgrade old equipment as well as get new gear so that we can make the best podcast for you to tune into. You can also follow the podcast Instagram at Somehow We're Adults, where I share clips and content about the podcast, and the link in the bio will take you to any of the Somehow We're Adults pages. I encourage you to check out another one of the episodes if this is your first time listening, and if you're a repeat listener, thank you for your support. I love making the podcast, and I hope you tune in for future episodes of Somehow We're Adults.